We're hot.
For some reason, Restream chat doesn't want to connect to YouTube, which is fucking annoying. Oh, there we go. It looks like it's on now.
Nice.
Boom, boom, boom. Okay, I think we're good.
All right.
Oh, cool.
Cool. Well, yeah, here we are again, episode 43, guys. Looks like we're almost on time.
It was pretty close today. I tried making it like, because I know you're busy all the time, so I tried just setting everything up before you got there to see if it just be like, boom, click.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Exactly. It's just like I cannot get a break as far as getting breathing time to get here. I mean, leave the job at 4:30 and go pick up Malia, and then I had to go get a DeWalt battery charger because every fucking battery on the job site's not charging, so I need that to happen. And then I had to grab food, so it's like squeezing all these 5 things in like hour and a half. It's crazy.
That's crazy. I know. I was like, because Heather messaged me and she's like, I'm here. I'm like, where the fuck did Ben go? Because like I had heard you home and I was like, went to go play piano for like a little bit, and then I opened the door and all the lights are off downstairs. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, I had to get that battery and I had to get food real quick.
Yeah. I didn't even have time to eat. I ate like 10 bites really quick of my stuff, and then
sacrificed my dinner to do this real quick.
Yeah, I still think you should eat on the podcast if you want. I don't
that
think
what?
That much. I said I still think you should eat on the podcast if you want.
Oh.
Like this is what a busy man does.
I mean, it might come to that point sooner or later, but
yeah, you're trying to put it off as long as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I try to treat it professionally as much as possible. So I don't really appreciate when people are, talking when they're talking to me. So I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. I don't know. It's, you're not giving your full attention. Any distractions. By the way, let me hold on a second. I gotta close this window.
Okay.
All right. Speaking of distractions.
Yeah, sorry. I left it open so it'd get cool enough in there because I know you get fucking hot sometimes and shit, so.
Yeah, I'm good. I kept hearing cars. I was like, what is that sound?
It's funny. I couldn't even hear them on my end, but yeah.
Well, cool.
Episode 43. All right, I'll do the plugs real quick. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. Cool. Hello, Grandpa. My grandpa's joined once again. You are a regular fan, sir. I enjoyed that.
What's up, Jim? Yeah, exactly.
He said he can hear us both, and he said, "What's the topics?" So
awesome. I got some topics. I just whipped them up real quick here. A couple things.
Okay. Cool. I just have a rant about drivers. So
all right.
If you like ranting about drivers, we got that today.
I think everybody can relate.
Yeah.
Even the drivers that are shitty drivers won't even know that they're shitty drivers and can also get in on this rant. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What if we're the shitty drivers, Ben?
I mean, I don't think I am, man. I mean, I'm pretty aware of my surroundings and how my part in everything I do, and I just don't consider myself a shitty driver.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess that's not fair to say that. I guess, everybody has their moment with everything, but in general, on a higher percentage, 95% of the time, I tend to think I'm a courteous driver, considerate. I try to follow the rules. If I speed, it's usually just 5 miles over the speed limit. I have like a criteria, so it's not too insane.
Yeah.
But
Philip asked, why am I ranting about drivers? Do I drive? Yes, I do drive. Why do you think I don't drive? I don't get it.
Oh, do you drive?
Yeah.
He was asking
I'm 28. Okay, sir. Okay. I definitely drive.
You never know. There's plenty of 28-year-olds that are not driving.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, but they're out there.
I guess I could not have a car, but I do have a car, so I don't drive that often. Well, I guess I drive all the time. I usually just don't drive my car all the time. I usually drive my girlfriend's car. So, hey, Parker's here too. What's up, bro?
Is that your brother?
Yeah.
Right on. Well, welcome, Philip. Welcome, Parker and Jim. Good to have you guys here.
We should rename this like the Barrett Podcast at this point. Jesus.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
It's cool, I think.
Exactly. We like consistency and frequency and people kind of chipping in as much as possible. And you guys seem to know us very well, so pretty cool. It's good to have close people by. But so yes, I do. I guess you already did the plug, so let's just get right into this. So the first topic, the contagious convo, I thought it'd be a good idea to talk about this 12-year-old genius that they're calling Boy Wonder. I don't know if you heard about him or not, but he's a 12-year-old kid who's, I guess, super intelligent, and he just got he applied to Georgia Tech University for the aerospace department or for aerospace degree or whatever you call that. And the people they were interviewing is like, yeah, I don't see no reason why you can't get in. And so this seems to be like a pretty hot topic right now. I've heard about it on the radio a couple times, and then I watched a couple interviews about him with him speaking and stuff. So that was pretty interesting. And then we can talk a little bit about how that's plays into, you know, someone being smart and someone being able to pick things up quick and someone that works hard, those type of things. So
right. That's pretty crazy though. They're like, oh, I don't see why I couldn't get hired. Well, I mean, I guess if he's smart enough, but also, I mean, there is labor laws. Is he like emotionally intelligent enough to be working a job and throwing away his childhood? You know,
he sounds like it from the one interview that I seen that's like 6 minutes long or a bit of it. You know, I don't think I actually heard the whole interview. It was really hard to find, but yeah, he seems very, you know, he's articulate and he speaks very clearly. He's got a lot of, he puts his thoughts together very well. He's definitely beyond his years. You can tell when you're listening to him talk. But as far as like his actual IQ level and as far as him being, you know, being emotionally, I mean, I think it's safe to say that just in years and experience in general, he's probably not emotionally intelligent enough. And, you know, but I still think, I don't know. I wonder what that, you know, how imperative that is to bettering your future financially or getting into something that, you know, I mean, I don't know what you mean by asking that question. Like, should he be emotionally intelligent before he pursues his dreams and things like that? Or what do you mean by that?
Emotionally, like, is he smart enough?
Probably not.
You know what I mean? Like, is he gonna be responsible enough to fucking hold a job and yada yada shit like that? You know?
Yeah. So you think, okay, so like his emotions might dictate his consistency and his ability to actually perform.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Even if he like logically is smart enough. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying just because he's smart with logic doesn't necessarily mean that he's ready to have a job at 12.
I think it's safe to say that he's probably not emotionally intelligent enough. You know what I mean? He's definitely, I mean, just being realistic with the amount of years he's been on this planet, you can't be. You can only be so much emotionally intelligent. So yeah, I don't know. I guess he'll find out, you know. I think the sooner you can get into something, the better, though, for sure. Even if I would argue, even if he's not emotionally intelligent enough to do X, Y, Z, you should still do it. You should still get into it. There's only really one way to actually get that emotional intelligence, and that's to just put yourself in it.
Right.
Some people, I mean, what's the alternative? Waiting till you think that you have the XP bar on the emotional intelligence all the way up before you actually do things?
I mean, probably, yeah, but I mean, not like that much, but like, I mean, we have labor laws, so you can't even technically get hired anywhere until you're like, what, 15 or 16, I think?
Yeah, I don't know how that
plays into effect. Get around that?
I don't know how the labor laws play into effect to that. I imagine there's a waiver that parents can sign probably, or something.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know all the laws, so that might be a possibility.
I mean, it made the news, and he's probably going to Georgia Tech. So, as far as there being restrictions, it doesn't seem like that's happening. So there's something we don't know about that's allowing a 12-year-old child to go to a university to study aerospace.
Oh wait! You're saying at the university?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Georgia Tech University.
Okay, that's fine. I thought you meant like going to
It's not a job technically.
Like going to work at NASA. Yeah, I mean that's fine if he's smart enough to go to college.
Yeah, because he's studying basically.
Yeah, exactly. That's fine.
Yeah, which could be definitely work in my opinion.
It's a lot of studying, that's for sure. It's a lot more than.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably already like in the last grade of high school, right? Then if he's that smart, I'm sure he's been pushed ahead very far.
Yeah, I think he was talking about his school experience. I guess he talks about how he has very vivid memories of when he was 2 years old of learning things. I guess he already knew fractions when he was like 1 or 1.5 or something crazy like that. He was doing fraction exactly. Like he was completely accelerated way more than the average person.
I know some 2-year-olds that can't even fucking talk. So
yeah, exactly. And he was talking about how he was, in school with in school with kids that are much older than him. Like I don't know exactly what the ages were, but I think he was like, let's just say he was a 5-year-old in 6th grade or something crazy like that. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he remembers being, in those grades and everybody's just way bigger than him. They used to kind of, treat him a little bad, treat him like an anomaly, as he quote unquote said. And, they just kind of looked down on him a little bit is what he was saying, and kind of, I guess, just was jealous or something. You know how kids are in school. Yeah. And I can imagine you would get that if someone comes off as being super smart and they're just, outperforming you. People don't like to be outperformed for some weird reason.
Yeah, kids don't like to be outperformed, but they also are very like primal. Like they're like what humans are when they're untrained humans. So like fucking if anyone's different than them, they do get that tribal mentality and they'll fucking outcast them.
Yeah.
Instead of using their brains, because their brains aren't developed enough to fucking make those thoughts yet. So
yeah, kind of that herd mentality we were talking about. Basically the same thing. Starts at a young age because it's primitive, like you said. Yeah. So it's crazy though. Like he seems he was talking about how he said basically he's like, I'm not a very smart kid. He's like, I'm not intelligent. He's like, I just pick things up quicker. He's like, I'm able to just learn things a lot quicker. He's like, I'm not smart. And I thought that was a very interesting statement that he made. I think a lot of people might argue that he is intelligent and that, he's got a higher IQ than the average person. But, him making a statement like that might have a lot more valid truth than it might be very real, exactly what he's saying, like the ability to actually just be receptive and to mimic and really just retain information at a high volume.
Yeah, but it also kind of works with like the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is basically usually people only talk about it for the lower end. So basically people that are like unskilled think they're more skilled than they are. But on the other end of the curve, you have people that are super skilled and think that they're way less skilled than they are. It's like a weird curve. So like this is like how skilled you actually are. It's like I think this way. All right, we'll do it this way. It's like this. All right. And then when you're like low skill, you think you're up here, at the average or whatever. And then when you get up to high skill, you think you're down here at the average, but you're actually higher. And there's like when you're middle skilled, you kind of know where you're at, but there's this weird effect that happens in psychology where when you're lower skilled at the lower end, when you don't have much experience, you think you're more skilled than you are. And then the opposite effect when you're really high up there, you're like, I have so much to learn. I'm not that good, blah, 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 blah. You start getting that crazy modesty.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's the best. I love people who are really good at things and are modest about it. That's attractive to me. And when I say attractive, not like sexually attractive. I mean, that's just attracting as a human being. Just like, oh shit, this guy's really modest and he's like super good and super talented at this, Mm-hmm. I don't know, I really like that. And I tend to think that if I ever got super good or semi-good at something, that hopefully I come off that way, because I kind of get repulsed by people who are just showboating a lot.
Yeah, it's awful. People are just like, dude, I'm the shit. You're like,
and very rarely is someone that's saying they are this shit. They're usually not this shit. It's in their mind and they're kind of talking themselves up. They're used to projecting this facade.
Even if they are the shit, it's still a turn off. You're like, dude,
It's a
shut
turn
up.
off. Yeah, exactly. Because if you are the shit, it's just a turn off, and
You
it's
know,
not
like
attractive.
for even people in sports, man. You know, I mean, sometimes it's funny. Like I always bring up Conor McGregor just because he's just comical with the way he does it. But most guys are just like, "Yep, I'm the shit," and you're like, "Shut up, dude."
Yeah, it's a turn off, man. I like a mild, just a sprinkling of confidence, not necessarily, I guess, cockiness, but not an overbearing amount, if you know what
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about this before.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a fine amount that's tolerable for people and still in the attractive spectrum, but as soon as you just start taking it to the extreme, you start coming off cringy. You're like, all right, dude.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the comments real quick. My grandpa's saying he started working when he was 12 picking fruit. I mean, different time, definitely.
Right.
I mean, you could probably, I'm sure it still happens now, but it's definitely illegal. And then I guess you have to be 18 for most insurance to cover you at work if there's machines and stuff, my grandpa said. And then my brother Parker said, yeah, you got to be 16. So
Yeah. So yeah, it applies to work exactly.
but school's
he's in
a little bit
school.
different.
Yeah.
So
Which is funny. Like I said, I would argue school is very much work. Crunching numbers and pushing paper and just absorbing knowledge is a lot of work. It really
Yeah.
is.
yeah, just a different type of work.
Just a different type of work. Exactly. It's funny how we kind of separate that though, as like school not being work, or not necessarily a job, when it kind of is a job, really. Especially starting young, thinking back on my own school days, and everybody else knows exactly what I'm talking about. Like getting up at 7 in the morning or 6:30 or whatever it is, and going to school. Like that's a job. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, you go to school, you wake up at 6:30 in the morning, come back at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, it's not.
There's an
As long
attendance. There's an
Yeah.
attendance. Like you get docked points if you're in attendance. Just like getting fired from a job, you miss so many days, you're out. Of course, it's not
Yeah.
as extreme with school, but you get
If you
the
don't do
point.
good enough work, you get demoted.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a job for sure. And in that regard, that's some of one of the few things that one of the few valuable things that you can get out of school. In my opinion, when I say few things, really, I only think that school is good for a few things, and only to a certain point. And after that, you should really search for something beyond school, and more specifically, search for things that school doesn't teach you, because those are the real things that are actually going to propel you to be more successful.
Yeah, unless you really want to go the academic route and like be a professor at a school, then like going to school and then staying at the school basically as a teacher instead of a student, you could do that. But that's a very niche specific case.
And I would say that professors don't get paid very much. They're not really. It's more of a passion job. It's something someone wants to do for a passion because they get a lot of fulfillment out of it. But I think statistically, they've probably done reviews on this. I imagine somewhere you can find this, but I would argue that a lot of professors and teachers would consider themselves underpaid.
I know a lot of elementary school kids do, but let's see. The college professor's salary, it just pulls it right up.
It's not that much.
The average is $155K.
Okay, that's more than I thought then.
I mean, they have most of them have their PhDs, so.
Okay. I mean, I guess that's pretty decent then. Yeah, that's pretty good.
But I think for an elementary, if you're going to do like elementary teaching, then yeah, I think it's maybe like 50, 60K at the low end, right?
Yeah. And we already talked about what 50 and 60K get you a year, especially with the way the world is right now.
Yeah.
Like that's still lower to, or that's still lower to low middle class, really.
Yeah, I would teach for like 60K, but I would not want to teach elementary kids for 60K. I feel like that's backwards. They should usually be getting paid less for teaching college. It's easier. People actually are choosing to be there,
Yeah.
You're basically a babysitter and a teacher at fucking pre-college shit. So
Yeah. Going back to what I think his name was Caleb. Going back to what Caleb was talking about, where he kind of made that statement that he doesn't think he's smart, but he picks up things quicker. I would, it's kind of weird to separate that, but I understand what he's saying by that actually, and it kind of goes in line a little bit with, the saying I've always said, and Jake always likes to say it as well, and that's hard work will outperform talent every day of the week. Mm-hmm. I'm a very firm believer of that, and so I think it's right in alignment with that statement a lot, really.
Yeah, for being so smart, it's kind of a stupid statement because it's like you don't just come out inherently smart. Like it's like anything. There's like no real actual talent. It's not like you come out singing opera out of the womb. You don't come out doing calculus. You still have to learn it. So being smart is really just how fast you can learn things and how much you can retain complex ideas. If he's already going to be going to college for fucking like what is that, aeronautics or shit like that?
Yeah, aerospace. Yeah.
At 12, then he can understand complex ideas and he can learn them very fast. That's both like the requisites for being really intelligent. So
yeah,
which I feel like he should know if he's intelligent. So it's kind of like a oxymoron, right?
Yeah. Would you consider him being more of a talented individual or a hard worker?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know him, so that's hard to know.
Yeah. Does he sound like he sounds like he's more of a, I don't know either, but no, because they were talking about, they played videos of him when he was like learning with his dad and stuff. He's like doing those fractions and things like that, on paper. So I would say that he is a hard worker, just with this few snippets that I've seen. So I did say that hard work beats talent any day of the week, but very rarely there's cases where people combine hard work with being super smart as well and super talented. And I think that's the result, is what we might be seeing right here with this kid.
Yeah. I'll put like a counter argument to that, because like maybe it's not work to him though. And my argument for that is when I was a kid, I loved going to school and I picked things up quick and I did like all my work. But it wasn't really work to me because I had fun doing it. Like I just understood the things really easily. So I just did the stuff. And it wasn't like a chore for me to do my homework or something.
Yeah.
And like the older I got, the more it became a chore, and then I stopped working as hard. So if it's really enjoyable for him, it basically, it is work, but it's not work at the same time. You know what I mean? It's like something he enjoys doing so much that it's not even a pain in the ass for him to do.
Yeah, it's enjoyable work. I think a lot of people, I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people relate the word work into something unenjoyable, kind of like it sounded like you did immediately already. Like work doesn't have to be unenjoyable; it can absolutely be enjoyable. And I think a lot of people, when they think work, because we already talked about this, 3/4 of the planet is living paycheck to paycheck. So on average, work is miserable, for those people. But there's other people that realize that, like, hey, maybe I can make money at doing this because I have a passion for it, and it's in that regard, it's not work exactly like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people got to get out of the mentality of thinking work always has to be unenjoyable, or that it's just so unattainable to get a job or get involved in some type of work that's going to seem it's going to seem miserable, I guess, at some point.
Yeah.
Because work is work. Work is technically just what brings you brings you income, pretty much.
Yeah, I guess I was just saying it without the negative connotation, kind of differentiating. But yeah, they're both technically work. So.
Shoot, that's my bad. Let me turn this down.
It's all good. Barely heard the actual volume of it wasn't bad. It was the vibration you could really hear.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's the homeowner. I'll have to call him back when I'm done with this, the job I'm on right now. It's a big ass job, so definitely want to find out what's going on. It's one of those homeowners that worries a lot, kind of asking a ton of questions while we're working, like, how are you gonna? I didn't know that went this way. You know what I mean?
That'd probably be me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People like that are funny.
But yeah.
So yeah, I think a very cool story though. I think I'm interested to kind of check in on this kid's future here in a little bit. And I definitely think we'll be hearing from him again, just because he is an anomaly, as he called himself. He's just kind of a different individual, so it's kind of cool, and it's very rare. You get those young geniuses like that really just accelerating so quickly.
Yeah. I had this thought the other idea, and this is kind of like a side tangent, doesn't really matter, but do you ever notice that people act how they look?
Yes.
Like you can tell someone's personality just by looking at like how they look, not even necessarily how they dress, just like their body structure and like their face structure. Like you can like instinctively know, you know what I mean? Just by looking at
on
someone.
average, yes.
On average, yeah. Not
sometimes you'll be surprised. I'd like to think I'm one of the weird ones that are surprisingly different than how I look, maybe. I think. I don't know.
I think maybe you just think you look worse than you do. But I also have known you my whole life, so my image of you is skewed. So
exactly. I think I think I'm one of the type of people that when I get a first impression, I might get a lot of doubt. Well, more specifically, before I even speak, just face value. I think I get a lot of doubt, maybe concern, maybe you know what I mean, like this guy's questionable. It's only really until I start speaking and that people get a different perspective of me. I just talked about this the other day with somebody. Like when I go to a sales appointment, always long sleeve shirts. You'll never see tattoos. I never show my tattoos, and the reason for that is because of the first impression. People base a lot of their judgment on first impressions, and there's two things that they do that with: the way you look and what comes out of your mouth. So if you're aware of that and you want to put your best foot forward without being phony, by the way, this is not something I'm saying. I'm not saying build a character. I'm saying just don't be so open immediately. Because what I mean by that is like although I sell that way and I'm all dressed up nice, there's some times where I have to go to that job site and either work on that job site or just I'm not dressed and I'll come back to have to pick up a check or sign off on something. And there's times where I'm not dressed and I'll show up. This happens all the time. This is so frequent. The reaction I get, I can see it on their face when they see me and they see tattoos. They're like, oh, wow. I had this one guy that was like a pastor or a priest I did a sunroom for. And I was working on that job. And when I was out there, he couldn't stop staring at my tattoos while he was talking to me. He just couldn't get his eyes off my tattoos. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, dang, he's really honing in on tattoos. Like, I think he's just surprised. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he just didn't expect that. And but I mean, he was fine with it because he gave me a nice strong handshake, and we finished the job fantastically, and he was happy with the whole thing. But it still, he was confused, is what I got from that, and I get this quite a bit, dude.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have any tattoos. I never had to deal with that.
Yeah.
I mean, tattoos are cool though. I just never really like the idea of them personally.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a ton of tattoos I regret, so it is what it is. But I do like the concept of tattoos and body art. It's just a cool way. I mean, I like art in general, so the ability to actually just decorate your body is pretty cool, in my opinion. But it's permanent. It's not, you can't erase it, that's well, I guess you can now, but still.
Yeah, it's expensive and painful. Supposedly, I wouldn't know personally, but
I mean, I find it really hard to believe that you can remove dark, like tribal, like dark, thick lines. I just have a hard time seeing that done. But
I think it's like might be faint or like slightly scarred afterwards.
That's
like
what I imagine.
Subtly, but like if you looked real close, you're like, oh, okay, he had tattoos before.
Yeah, that's strange. Now that I think about it, I've never actually seen anybody that I know of that's had tattoos removed. I'd be interested to check that out.
Yeah, everyone I know has just had their tattoos covered up ones they didn't like.
Exactly, yeah. The ones that can be covered up anyway. Some are just too gnarly and huge. You can't cover it up.
So What's worse, leaving a bad tattoo or putting a big black block over it?
Leaving a bad tattoo, definitely. Well, it depends, obviously, on the bad tattoo as well. You know, I definitely have a thing about like amateur tattoos being exposed. Like, you know, like just very, you know what I'm talking about, just very amateur tattoos, like blatantly on your arm.
My friend did this when we were 16.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. Those kind of like, this guy might, it comes across as maybe this person might have made some bad decisions in their life, as we all have.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
we all have, but showing it is one thing. And again, it goes back to being so open with people. Tattoos say a lot about a person, man, or say a lot about a chapter in one's life, you know? It doesn't necessarily, and that's why I hate my tattoos, because it's definitely from another life. I mean, it's been like 8 years since I've had a tattoo. So, it's just another chapter of my life. I haven't even wanted really another tattoo. I do, but it's not, when you first get it, it's addicting. It's like, oh, I want another one. Oh, I want another one. But I've like phased that out, where it was kind of a bit of an immaturity thing, to be honest, for me. And I think I would argue it is for a lot of people too.
Right.
It's so washed out now at this point too. Like everybody and their mom and their sister and their cousins have a tattoo. And
Yeah,
everybody has
every
a
single
sleeve.
person.
Huh?
Every single person.
It's all over the place. And like when I was growing up, like seeing someone with a tattoo either meant you just got out of prison, or you know somebody who's a tattoo artist or something. You know what I mean? You had to usually be, it's a special privilege almost. And not saying that being in prison is a special privilege, but it's a special case when you got a tattoo, is kind of, when I was growing up, kind of what it was.
Yeah, even when I was a kid, it wasn't as common as it is now. It's fucking. I mean, you're only 9 years older than me, so I guess we kind of, sort of similar.
Yeah. It was more of a statement back then, whereas now there's no statement for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just body art, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's just different. It's just completely different. But everything always gets trended out and, you know, just exacerbated to where it's just like everybody's desensitized to those things now.
Right. Is it hard for you to cover up the tattoo on your wrist where it comes up, like kind of onto your hand?
Yeah. I'm always aware of that too, like especially if I'm on a job site and I have long sleeves and I'm not trying to do that, I'll reach up and point to something sometimes, and it'll kind of, my sleeve will fall down and I'm like, shit, I don't want to be doing that right now.
So now you point with your left hand instead?
Yeah. So I'm very, like I said, after I've made a sale and I've closed somebody, I don't give a shit, dude. It's the first impression I always don't want to just be an open book about. So again, I've talked about that before. Like, you know, I don't really, I care what people think to a certain extent, and I really care what people think about me when it comes to my business. But one thing I don't do is make decisions necessarily based on someone's opinion of me. It's just a first impression thing. Aside from that exception, that's really the only thing I really would base a decision, and that being wearing long sleeves, you know?
Yeah.
So sometimes it just makes smart sense.
Yeah. I'm actually finally starting to like really just not care what people think. I did my acting class today, and like fucking, I was just like, I don't even care if these people think I'm stupid. So I just actually put myself into it. Got good responses. It was cool.
Yeah, it's actually appreciated when you do that. People value that more and appreciate that more because they understand that you're putting yourself out there, making yourself vulnerable. A lot of people don't do that, you know? And on average, people don't do that. They have a guard up. They're afraid that they're going to give some information away about themselves if they do that. And so that's why artists, musicians, and actors, they are in the perfect type of industry for that, and why they're all like kind of admired a lot. It's because that's something a lot of people can't do, is just drop their guard and be vulnerable.
Takes a certain type of courage, a different type of courage. You know, you're not actually putting yourself in danger, but it feels like it when you're fucking letting your guard down.
It feels like it, exactly.
I think it's pretty interesting because I'm in my acting class now, and some people are like so timid when they try to act, and I'm like trying not to be judgmental because I'm like, well, at least they're trying out an acting class to see if they can get out of their bubble, but at the same time they're like, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's the step, man. It's like that's a huge step you got to make to actually just get to the next level. It's like the biggest key, man. Once you get past that, it's like unlocking a door to another world, really. Mm-hmm. When you start being vulnerable, it's a good thing, man. Like, and it comes in many forms, right. Whether it's singing or acting or not, posturing so much as far as like masculinity maybe goes, and like you're surrounded by a bunch of aggro dudes, and it's just a lot of testosterone around, and they're expecting you to also fall in line with that, and you're just like, yeah, I don't know, I'm really just not in agreement with that or something like that. You know what I mean? You kind of expose yourself as being a little more vulnerable. It really can come in just so many different forms, but I think ultimately even the guys that might not agree with like using that scenario, they still appreciate that. Like, oh wow, this guy's fucking got balls. Like, he's very vulnerable. I always think about people like people I might have admired growing up, and like, you might not expect this, but like Tupac was actually admired by me for those reasons. It's because he would talk about how emotional he was, and how much passion he has, and how he wasn't afraid to cry about stuff, and he wasn't afraid to, and he said it was because of those reasons that he's actually more of a man than a lot of men out there. And I was like, there's actually a lot of truth to that, man.
Yeah, for real, dude. It's so annoying. Like, just toxic masculinity. You know what I mean? Like, fucking growing up, and people were like, oh, you need to put some meat on them bones, blah, 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 blah. You need to act like this, blah, blah. And like, leave me alone, man.
Put some meat on them bones, yeah.
I'm sure you probably heard that all the time, too.
Oh, fuck yeah. I've heard that plenty of times. The thing about that is, like, I let my performance speak a lot for me. And I've had like a lot of compliments too, like just weird, like I can remember weird things. Like I remember, and actually, it makes me feel good about myself, and it kind of validates the amount of hard work I've done. But like, for instance, when I was doing the grow operation for a while there, I built this whole room out for the indoor operation part, which was like 24 lights. I mean, we're talking a lot of lights and plants in one area, and I had to sheetrock the whole thing double walled. Well, not only did I have to do that by myself, but I transported every single piece of drywall sheet to that location and packed every single piece out. When I did that, there was these it was a crew, I don't remember what they were doing, electrical or something, or HVAC or something. There's a bunch of big dudes. And they all got out, and they seen like these 2 stacks of drywall sitting there. I'd already done it a couple days ago or something. It was a lot of fucking work, a ton of work for one dude, like an ungodly amount of work for one person. It's not even recommended, in my opinion. But he seen it and was like, "Who got all this in there?" I was like, "I did." He was just like, he's like, "Dang, dude." He's like, "I would hate to meet you in a dark alley." And for some reason, that just stuck in my head. I was like, this fucking guy is like twice my size, is like admired by the fact that I just fucking outperformed the average individual physically. You know what I mean? It didn't really matter my size, like, because, and like, I've had a lot of moments like that in my life where like what would seem like a big buff masculine dude could only do, I do it all the time. And I don't let that shit like penetrate my mind because I just push myself. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing where you get a little validation when it's nice to get that validation, from going like, oh, you need some meat on your bones, to like, oh shit, you did all that. It's like, right. It's kind of a different spectrums,
Yeah. You know what I hated? I fucking hated when people always told me to put meat on my bones, and then when I gained weight, like everyone was just like, I know, like, it's harder to get a job. Girls didn't like me, all this shit. It's like, why'd you guys tell me to gain weight? Stupidest fucking thing ever. They're just projecting, They're just like, oh, I don't know what. They feel insecure because you're skinnier than them or something. I don't fucking know.
it wouldn't even have to necessarily be that. It could be a different insecurity in themselves. You know what I mean? And then that was their way of making you feel insecure. You know what I mean? I have a suspicion. It's obviously different for every case, but
Right.
it could be, you know, someone like feeling insecure about something completely different, and they get off on making someone else be insecure, and so they look for weaknesses. They look for something that could be, offensive, I guess, to you, and so to make you feel like you're less than. You know, it's unfortunate, but there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah, that shit's annoying. I
It
see that
is
shit
annoying.
a lot, especially in rural areas. I feel like you see a lot too, like in Shelton and shit. I've seen that a lot. Like the fucking redneck dudes who like fucking shake your hand and try to crush your hand to make you feel like a little pussy or something. You're like, all right, well, you're just an asshole. That's basically all there is to that.
Yeah, I hate that, man. It's an immature mindset, dude. It really is. Like that's the type of shit I used to see when I was in juvenile quite a bit. Like tons of testosterone. That's what I grew up on. That's how I used to act, because that was in the environment I used to live in. And so I kind of really had to fit in, or I didn't have the mental strength to just isolate myself and stand out to be that much different, because I probably would have gotten beat up or whatever. I mean, so I very much know that toxic masculinity, and not to confuse with masculinity in general being toxic, because I very much value masculinity, but it can definitely get into a toxic area if you let it, you know what I mean? And if you're not paying attention to the microaggressions that you project on people.
Microaggressions, yeah.
that's what they are, man.
Yeah, it's just a funny way to put it.
Which is just another way to say passive aggressive.
Yeah, fucking passive aggressive shit is annoying. All right, well, I think we've been on this topic for like 40 minutes. We got something for
we spun it off to a different topic, so that's cool, man.
I guess that is true. I admit we haven't gone to our next topic yet.
And I like that. That's cool, because there's a lot of value that was in that kind of segued into it, something else, because we're talking
Definitely.
about, you know. But yeah, to bring it back and end this content.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that fucking genius kid.
Yeah.
That went way off course. That's funny.
That's great though. Like I said, there's a lot of value in the things we're talking about. It's not. It's funny. I just told this to somebody. So I went to go get some food, right? And this one. It's funny. She did say she was gonna watch this, so I'm kind of almost nervous to say this because I'm a human being, but I don't really care. But she's super hot. She's cute. I've seen her quite a bit there, and it's weird because you know how you want to like ask somebody out, but they're always at work when you see them. Right. It's like, man, there's like never an appropriate time to like ask somebody out. Like, how do you get around that? How do you maneuver without just coming off being or like cringy or something? Like,
is she hot though? Have you ever seen her without her mask?
I haven't, but I don't need to. Nah, isn't that crazy? Is that weird?
She like pulls it off. Her nose is like crooked. She's got fucked up teeth and shit. She's got like a mustache.
That's hilarious. Got snaggletooth.
It could happen, man.
That's okay. She seems
You're like everything else is great. So
yeah, everything else. I mean, from here around this area is cool. So I think I could work with that if it was, you know, if she got like a cleft palate or something going on.
give her a little muzzle.
Right, just keep the mask on. Let's just keep. I hope coronavirus goes on forever. No, no, I don't know, man. But she seen my shirt and she was like, "Oh, that's a cool shirt. I like the shirt." I was like, "Yeah, it's a podcast we do." And I don't think she heard me say that because she was like, "Oh yeah, what's the name of your podcast?" And I was like, "It's called The Virus." She's like, "Oh, that's the name of it." And so it led me to believe that maybe she thought I was just being douchey by like putting myself like, "Hey, I do a podcast," just out of nowhere.
Oh.
I was like, "Oh
right.
No!" I hope she didn't think I'm that guy. Just like, no, I was referring to the podcast, the shirt. But she's like, "Yeah, I'll check it out. What do you guys talk about?" And I kind of told her, she's like, "Oh yeah, I listen to Joe Rogan sometimes and stuff." I was like, "Yeah."
We like to talk about hot workers at restaurants.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and like I said, I'm gonna feel kind of embarrassed if she sees this and
watches
brings
this
it up.
specific episode.
That'd be awesome.
She's gonna be like, ding, 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 ding. What's up, dude?
She's gonna be like, yeah, I totally have like a boyfriend, actually like 2 boyfriends. So like, yeah, it's never gonna happen, dude.
I have 2 boyfriends. Hey, maybe she's poly. Would you jump in the poly relationship? Probably not. It's like,
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's really hard. Like I said, I'm always weird about initiating conversation because nowadays, here's my thing. Nowadays, women, I think they have a hard time politely telling you that they're taken or they have a boyfriend.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It doesn't come out quick enough, whereas it should. I think I've been like ghosted by a couple chicks because maybe they were seeing somebody and they just didn't know how to tell me or something. I mean, I don't have any proof, but I think that could be the case. I don't hear it said enough, that's for sure. But it could be for multiple reasons. But I think that should be established if someone is trying to, you know, they show interest in you, and it seems like the abnormal interest. I don't know, but that's a hard position for a woman to be in too. You know what I mean? Like, where to know if they're actually interested, like intimately interested type thing, because they're going to take a risk by saying, like, if they say it too soon, they're going to come off as being like kind of out of line. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I have a boyfriend. Like, I'm just having a conversation here.
You're like, hey, how's it going? I have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, yikes, dude.
So I guess that's a lot of pressure on them too. Now that I think about it, they got to know exactly when to pull the trigger on the "I have a boyfriend" line. But yeah,
it's just different, right? Though, especially
now with the masks on, and like you said, beyond not being able to see the mouth and nose, it's more of it's taking a little bit of a connection away too,
right?
Because a lot of details and emphasis and facial expressions really say a lot when you're speaking, and so a lot of that's taken out of conversations now. And so it is different for that respect, absolutely. But yeah, hopefully she checks it out. Hopefully she likes it. She's not bored, and hopefully she'll embarrass the hell out of me if she sees this episode too. That'd be funny.
That'd be super funny.
I always go there too. I love that place.
Where at?
I don't want to name drop it.
What type of food?
It's up the road, and it's Asian fusion, as they call it. Asian fusion food.
Oh, is it the place that was just like renamed?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
KKK?
Yeah.
Whoa, dude. Take it easy, man.
You heard nothing.
She's definitely not going to watch this podcast anymore.
Rip. Pepperoni.
All right. So moving on, let's get into the review section.
You got some?
I do. It sucks because I wanted to watch the whole thing, but I haven't had the time to do it. But it doesn't matter. I saw the highlight, if you will. So it's basically I don't know if you've seen it yet, but the knockout kick by I forgot his first name, Kaznagani or something like that, or Kazagnagni versus Joaquin Buckley.
Okay.
And or Bucky or Buckley, I don't even know. If I'm hammering these names, by the way, someone help me, please. But
sure sounds like you are, but that's okay.
Have you seen?
No.
Oh, dude, you got to see it. It's definitely a very impressive kick knockout. It's probably, it's definitely one of the best ones in UFC history for sure. In
really?
MMA.
What about the one time that chick hit that other chick in the face? She was out for like 2 minutes.
I don't remember that.
Oh, dude. She this chick was like kicking this other girl. I think she was kicking her in the stomach like over and over and over again. So the chick went to like block and she just kicked her right in the face and just knocked her the fuck out.
Damn. Like an upward kick from the ground?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Those are brutal.
Yeah, but she went like this. She almost like kind of leaned into it trying to block the stomach kick that she had been throwing.
Oh, man. So she just like weight against weight right into her face. Damn.
She was out for like 2 minutes afterwards.
Damn. Yeah, those are the scariest ones. The longer you're out, it's like, dang, dude, is he gonna wake up?
Like, yeah,
is he gonna wake up? Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty scary. So to describe this kick to you, basically, dude goes for a right. What do you call that? Or a right side kick, and the guy grabbed it, caught his kick, and was holding his foot. Well, while he was holding his foot, the dude that threw the kick like pivoted on one foot, his left foot, and did a fucking back kick upward on one foot.
On one foot, so he kicked with his other foot, and then like was basically like just in the air,
He
like
pivoted.
twisting.
Exactly. So he pivoted on the same foot that he kicked with, because the other foot was in the other dude's hand. And so he pivoted and kicked it and just nailed him, dude, like an uppercut kick right in his face. It was KO, and it was like, holy shit. It was one of those things that was like, when you see it, it's like, that's some quick thinking, man. Like that was a very smart, quick, instinctual move that he
Sounds
did.
pretty wild.
Yeah, and I can imagine, like, I'm like putting myself in the dude that got knocked out in his shoes, and I'm like, man, that's a tough one to swallow. And as far as like reviewing it, because I imagine a lot of these fighters review their fights after that, like, what do I need to be doing from here on out? You know what I mean?
Right.
And that, I don't know. I imagine he's gonna probably think to himself that, like, just because you catch someone's foot, like, you should be ready for anything at that point, you know? When someone appears to be vulnerable, they might not be so vulnerable.
Never let your guard down, you know, I guess.
We expect the unexpected. Exactly. There's a lot of statements that can go into that. And so it's a very impressive kick, though. I was like, Jesus.
Was it really fast, though? Like, did you even have time to react to that shit?
No.
So,
no.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like a 1-2. It was like after he threw the kick, his foot like pivoted 1-2 with the other foot. It was like just pivot, snap, and it just kicked him like that quick, dude.
Yeah,
That's why I was like, it's very fast thinking, very quick thinking.
Yeah, sometimes there's just like there's nothing you probably could have done there. You know what I mean? Maybe. I mean, I'm not a fucking professional fighter.
Now that it's happened, more people are going to be aware of things like that now. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things that you just didn't expect to happen because no one's done it yet. But I mean, we're getting into the, you know, as things progress, everything, every industry, every sport, it progresses. We have people doing the craziest shit you could ever think of nowadays that never would have been done 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, you know what I mean? So as people see stuff like that, their not only their offense, but their defense is going to also evolve. And so they're just like, you know, they're going to now train to expect kicks from someone after their foot has been caught, which is not something that has ever been expected, you know what I mean? But now that we know it's possible, I'm almost certain people are going to be training for that. Like, it just goes right hand in hand with never let your guard down, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's pretty crazy.
It is crazy. You'll have to check it out here after this. I always say that there's things I'm like, oh, we should check it out right after this, and then I always forget. There's something else last podcast, too. I was like, oh, yeah, we need to check that out. I totally forgot.
It's because you're busy and I'm also busy. Like Wednesday, especially Wednesday, is always my busiest day. Like I have a bunch of homework to do after this podcast and shit too.
Yeah.
Fucking annoying.
Yeah, I forgot what it was, but okay. Well, I'll let it go. Oh, it was Dan the Locksmith, the rap parody.
Oh,
that's right. That's right.
You should just send me these links when you remember them.
Yeah.
Just fucking watch them.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
That's cool though, man. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I'm sure it's real quick. So.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm surprised you haven't seen it because it came up on my feed a couple times. And so,
well, I haven't installed Facebook on my new phone because I'm like, fuck that. So I haven't really been on social media that much. So yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people are calling it, you know, just super high. I mean, like that one guy that kind of ran up the wall and did a kick. I forgot his name. I mean, no one expected that, and now people can expect that type of shit. So, you know.
Yeah, I was actually gonna bring that up. I was like, this is kind of like that one time that dude did that fucking fence jump bullshit.
Yeah, and everybody's calling that the best UFC kick, you know, ever. And so, and now they're saying that about this one. They're like, you know, I've seen a couple of videos where the guy is like, this is the best kick you'll ever see in UFC. You can't change my mind.
You'll ever see? It's a very ignorant comment.
Yeah. Definitely up there. It's definitely surprising, but very impressive, man. You have to check it out for sure. There's not much more to say about that though. So let's go ahead and move on into the next topic. We might have talked about this before, but I can't remember, so I think it's worth revisiting again, because it's a valuable conversation. I really like this. But basically, I want to talk about sacrifices, making sacrifices.
Oh, okay.
People hate it. And so that's why I like talking about it. I like to talk about things people hate talking about, if you haven't noticed. The elephant in the room, the things people just don't like to address, you know. These are things that it's funny because a lot of things I do talk about, these are things that actually make people better, in my opinion. And so, yeah, sacrifices is huge for me. I guess I'll start off by asking you, like, what kind of sacrifices have you made in your life? And then I'm interested to know, this question goes for the viewers as well. I want to know your guys' input. What kind of sacrifices, big and small, have you made to get ahead or to accomplish something? Even if it's important, not important, just sacrifices in general. What kind of sacrifices are you actually making today to achieve whatever it is you're trying to achieve?
Yeah. That's a good question. I'm like it's so weird when you get put on the spot like that, trying to think of a specific moment.
Yeah, I love that. That's the best.
It's so hard.
There's no phony behind it.
Honestly,
unless you think too long about it.
I'm thinking about it too much. I think we can both agree that this podcast is kind of a sacrifice for our personal lives a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to do something on Wednesday, and I'm like, well, shit, I can't fucking do that because I got homework and the podcast. It's like, well.
Yeah. I can relate.
That's like I think that's like the only thing recently, really, because I feel like everything's going pretty good for me right now. So I don't know, jinx. I'm gonna fuck myself up by saying that. Everything's going pretty good though. So I mean, sacrifices I made. I mean, maybe just like in relationships, you always have to make sacrifices in relationships for sure.
Like what? I want to get to the fucking meat and potatoes of what you're talking about.
For instance, okay, so I can't think of like something I do, but for instance, you have two people in a relationship together, right? One person wants to get a job in another city, so the one person has to give up their job and try to find a new job in another place, right? So they have to like sacrifice their stability, right, to fulfill the other person's dream. That's an example. I mean, there's plenty of cases like that where you have to make a hard choice. It's like one of you has to sacrifice your dream in that case. If you're something like that. So someone has to make a sacrifice.
Yeah, especially when there's like kids involved. That's actually a great example. Sacrifices come a lot. And I heard this being said too, that, the women usually make a sacrifice to be a stay-at-home mom and sacrifice their career. But, and I agree, but I don't understand where this notion of like having to where that has to be that way. I don't know who has made this criteria that like if a woman's going to sacrifice her career to be the stay-at-home parent. I would argue that you don't have to sacrifice your career is what I'm saying. You do not have to. Matter of fact, I would argue that you need to. It's more important. Like if you think that you have to sacrifice your career to do that, it might be a good sign that you shouldn't sacrifice your career or try to shift your career to where it's going to be more attainable in the stay-at-home parent life, whether you're the mom or the dad.
Right. At that point, it becomes more of a priority thing. What's more important? Is your career more important? Well, then try to find a way to make that work. If there's a will, there's a way. I mean, I watch Pursuit of Happiness. The dude's running around on the train, taking care of his kid, barely making it.
Yeah.
You can do it if you really want it. Or is the family more important? Do you want to spend more time with your kids and raising them and stuff? I mean, you got to figure that out for yourself, obviously, but.
Yeah, very subjective to a person.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't just sit at home and complain that you're wasting away your years because of your kids. I mean, you chose to have the kids in the first place, and then you know.
Yeah, that's where I get bothered with hearing stuff like that. Is complaints, is like a sacrifice with no no follow up, and then blaming things, and because ultimately you do have control of your own life. Because sacrificing something doesn't mean you have to give up entirely. It can also mean you can sacrifice something and shift to a different goal. Doesn't mean sacrificing doesn't necessarily mean giving up, and I think giving up is tied with sacrificing sometimes, a lot of times probably in someone's mind.
Yeah, like for instance, okay, so maybe we'll say like this one. Say you have a kid. All right, my dreams of being a professional rock star are over. That doesn't mean you can't be a working musician that makes money. You can still be a working musician that makes money. Maybe you just don't go on tour with a band. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or
you can totally just change your goals.
You should never stop, because you're not. I mean, there's going to be a point if you plan, unless you plan on. There's a shelf life of Obviously, it's a lot of work to make money as a working musician. But if your goal or your dream was to tour or do this or that, you should still pursue that, because it's not like your child is going to be a stay-at-home child for the rest of their life. You know what I mean? Like, you can consistently work at what you're doing for 20 years or whatever until when your child moves out, and that's not even the case. It's not like you got to wait until they're 18 to pursue your dreams. Like, things change in your life. So that's a great example of how people might give up, thinking it's just overwhelming for them, like thinking, oh, it's never going to happen because I have to devote a lot of my time to this. Like, no, that just means you got to work harder now, and now you got to create time, and that's really what it is, creating the appropriate amount of time and allocating time into whatever it is you want to be doing, which is a sacrifice in itself as well. And so, yeah, I can relate with that, because using myself as an example, I sacrifice my daughter's time, a tremendous amount of time that I should be spending with my daughter. I sacrifice that, and I part of me feels bad about it, because I know that these years are there's some years I can't get back, and I can't spend the amount of time that I want to. But I'm also a realistic person, and so I have nobody to blame but myself. The fact that I'm in this position where I'm not financially stable enough to be able to provide all of my time is it's because of the prior years where I was not ambitious enough. I should already be in a position where I can be spending, I chose to have a daughter at 30, and I made that sacrifice. So it's just one sacrifice after the next. And some people look at it differently. You're like you said, they put a pendulum on it, like family time or work time. Well, I think when you're that specific topic, for me, the way I look at it is long term. I will, on the pendulum, short term, I will sacrifice a lot of that family time to be career focused and be hyper focused on that, because I know there's going to be a point, if I'm super committed, there's going to be a point where this is going to switch. And now all that hard work that I put into this is just going to transition to where I'm going to have a lot of delegated people taking care of a lot of stuff for me. I'm going to have the things that I actually want done, where that's going to shift. And now I've got more time that I can spend. Unfortunately, the years are going to pass as that happens, but I have no control over that part. That's because of the years that I neglected my life previously. That's how I look at family time and work time for me. And I don't think a lot of people look at it that way. The majority of them don't. I think a lot of people they also use a lot of excuses too. I think people are like, oh, family time's more important for me, but in reality, that it's probably not even the case. It's just hard work for them, and they don't want to put in the hard work. And so they're using their children as an excuse, or family as an excuse. So there's that too.
The worst is like using the family as in that way. That's in kind of a positive way, right? So that's kind of all right. But I fucking hate it when people blame their kids.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone does, but that's so fucking annoying.
Yeah.
I couldn't go to college because I had you. It's like, don't make your fucking kids feel that way, dude. That's fucked up.
Yeah, that's fucked up. And there's definitely a portion of people that probably do that too, even when they think or when they voice that like, hey, family time is more important to me. There's a good portion of people probably in the back of their mind have remorse and they're resentful towards doing that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they might think that that's the proper way that's the true meaning of success or the true meaning of valuable time, or the true meaning of sacrifice. But it goes back to being subjective too. Like, if that's the case, then you definitely shouldn't be complaining about finances, and you definitely shouldn't be complaining about anything else. Because if family time is what you're focused on, then, and you got it, you have nothing to complain about. You got what you want. You're living the dream, right? But I think that's not the case for a lot of people. There's obviously some people that really they really focus on their family and that's all they care about, which is great. But I think there's probably a bigger portion of people that probably have resentment and wish they could have, and also know that they're more capable of doing something. They just made excuses to not do it, and family being one of them.
Right. I can relate to you though on starting, like, cause I'm like just starting school this year. I mean, I guess it's been almost a year now, so I'm like halfway done with it. Well, at least my AA degree, but yeah, 10 years after high school ended.
Oh, as far as being behind the curve.
And now I have to make like sacrifices to my time and stuff, and like I'm not out there making more money, like, because right now I'm making like $1,000 a month in school. I'm not even really making it. I'm just kind of borrowing it for myself in the future because it's a loan, yeah, just like $1,000, like $1,100 a month.
Yeah,
it's like nothing. So such a small amount of money. But yeah, I guess I'm making that sacrifice right now in the hopes of, I mean, I have a plan, but in the hopes of the future is going to be better than now.
Yeah. Well, definitely if you're committed to doing that, that's going to happen for you.
Yeah. I know what I'm going for. Yeah. And also I have like 3 separate paths that I'm cool with going on. Like with the degree, I'm cool, like 3 jobs that the degree will help me with. So, I can pick in the different fields, like if I go for music, which I'm planning on doing, if I make it into the college, there's like 3 things I want to do with it. Like my fallback one is teaching. So, and I already teach people music, so I think I would probably be all right at it. And then performing, obviously, that's another one. And then composition, so writing music too as well.
Nice.
But I mean, if the performing or the composition don't work out, I just fall back to teaching, and just go teach people.
Nice. Yeah, I really like that frame of mind. I like thinking that way. I was taught that by my mentor, as far as thinking about like the position you're in right now in your life is because of all the actions that you took. You've heard me talk about this before. So when you think of your life in that concept, it really puts things in perspective, and it really makes you double down on things a lot more. And you get a little more focused, you get a little more committed to things, because you realize that like it could be short term and long term too. It can be like, okay, I should have been doing this last week, and now that I didn't, I'm here. Or it could be like, oh, I'm glad I did that last week because now I'm here and it paid off. Well, thinking long term and bigger proportions, like, okay, the last 5 years I haven't done this, that's why I'm in this position. Or the last 5 years I've really done a lot. I've done a lot of X, Y, Z, kind of accomplished a lot of the things I set out to do, and that's exactly why I'm in this great position now. But it's just a different, great mindset to get into as far as being productive, and that's how I've been thinking for like the last year. And it's kind of helped me be hyper focused along with a lot of other things, but it's kept the goal and my foresight as far as the amount of sacrifices I've had to do, basically. And so it's a good thing to get into. And then on top of that, I'm hopeful, because although it could be daunting, what keeps me happy about that is the fact that I plan to live to be 100 years old if I can can do the best I can to. I was just talking to Milo about this, or made a comment on a Facebook post because he said I was old, and I was like, yeah, I guess I am old, but if I live to be 100, then I'm not even halfway dead yet. Like, so thinking of it in those terms, like if I just grind for the next 10, 20 years, I'm still going to be 50, 60, and doing very well. And so now I'll have another 30, 40 years. Obviously, there's some people that are more successful at a younger age, but that's not my life. Unfortunately, I grew up differently. People grow up differently. They have different guidance. They have different role models. And some people don't have guidance. Some people don't have role models. I definitely fall into that group a lot more. I had to kind of search for that. We talked about that a couple episodes back. But it's a good mindset to be in, I think. And then it helps with those sacrifices for sure, for me.
Yeah. All right. For real. I'm going to reply to what my grandpa said, though.
Yeah.
My grandpa said, quote unquote, Indians do not live to be 100, Ben. Lol. Also, just so many things wrong with that statement. First of all, Ben's not Native American.
I am not Native American. I don't know if you guys knew that or not.
He's Mexican American, okay?
Hispanic.
Okay. He's Hispanic.
And Caucasian.
Also, people don't say Indians anymore. Just for your information, just letting you know.
I had this weird thought the other day. People refer to African Americans as black people, but you don't hear people saying brown people too much. It's always just referred to black and white.
Right.
You know what I mean? Is that kind of weird?
Kind of. What else would you call them?
African American?
Yeah, but the reason they don't like being called African Americans is because a lot of them aren't from Africa anymore. Like, where Native Americans are from America, they're the natives that were here.
I didn't know African American was offensive to anybody. I thought that was the more appropriate term, actually.
I don't know if it's offensive, but more so it's just wrong, and people are like, Just kind of like calling people Indians isn't necessarily offensive. It's more just wrong because obviously Native Americans aren't from India.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's kind of funny.
Which is when they came over here and found all the natives, they thought they had arrived in India because of the color of their skin. So
is Native American?
I don't know, man.
You see what I'm saying? If Native American's okay.
I'm cool with Native American, but my ex is like, don't put American on it. Just call me Native. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, okay.
I think in Canada they call them like the First Nation or something like that. So
yeah, this goes back to what we were talking about labels and stuff like that.
Right.
I think we talked about that before. It's hard to label things and without people taking offense to this, and I think sometimes it is reaching, in my opinion, because when here's an innocent question like, what's your ethnicity? That's an honest question. Like, that's just someone being curious, because ethnicities are different. They eat different food. They have different culture. They're just different. Some people are fascinated by that. I'm fascinated by that. I'm interested in how other people live in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
And so, but it's a topic that someone can easily reach for offense in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's even my grandpa's like, yeah, sorry, grandson, love you. I love you too. Also, I'm not offended. I was just letting you know that some people get offended by that. I don't think you should get offended. I just think it's incorrect terminology. I don't think it's offensive. That's all.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone actually uses Indian anymore. Sometimes they'll say American Indian, but
yeah, you
don't really hear Indian anymore, and like,
yeah, you don't.
So
yeah, and it's kind of hard to tell what ethnicity I am anyway. So
oh yeah, definitely.
It's either Native American or Hispanic, and you're kind of 50-50 on that. I get both of them all the time. So I get Native American because I braid my hair, you know, and then I'll have Mexicans or Hispanic people come up to me and start speaking Spanish too. I'm like, whoa, no sabe.
Well, here's the thing: you got the long braid, you're skinny with no facial hair, and you got tribal tattoos.
Oh, is that native? More native?
I don't know. I mean, there are tribal tattoos though. I don't think they're like native tribe. Tattoos,
Tribal just screams white dude all the way.
I wonder if that did come from like native culture and like white people were like, I'm part Cherokee, and they started getting that stupid shit tattooed on them and became like a white person thing.
Probably. I'm interested to know about that too, actually. Hence, I mean, it's tribal, so there's got to be some meaning to that, right?
Yeah. My grandpa's making a good point here. He said Hispanic has 3 types of natives. It is true, though. Even if you are Mexican, Mexicans are a mix of Mayans, Hispanic, people from Spain, so together. So it's technically still would be native.
Okay.
Just not native from up here.
Yeah, okay. Not a native American. A native South American?
Like Central American, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess that is Central America, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. The
Aztec. Shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just more labeling, exactly. Which is, again, some of that is unnecessary, but some of it's more just for, it's just interest. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I get, what's the best way to explain that? It can be something that can be turned into something. It can be a positive thing or it can be a negative thing. It's actually what you choose to make of it, unless it's a straight up derogatory. And it's also in context. It's also how it's presented. I think that has to do something more with when we're talking about something coming off as offensive. It's more about the context and the way it's delivered that should be. Because there's like innocent people out there that don't even know they're doing. Like Jim, if like Jim said, to somebody like, are you an Indian? Someone just wanted to take offense, like, excuse me, like that's someone reaching, in my opinion. Like it's someone obviously are not trying to offend anybody. And you can also correct people in a polite way also. Yeah.
My grandpa said, you guys are 100 Americanos. I think he's saying like 100% American. You know what? Yes, we are.
Oh, yes, I'm totally whitewashed. I'm totally.
We're the whitest. I'm whiter than you, and like even he's brown, but he's white. He's so white.
I'm white as hell, and that's half the reason why things change for me after I open my mouthpiece to people. Because, like I said, the first impression thing, I get that. They probably think I'm either Native American or Native or Hispanic, and so when they hear me talk, I'm like, wow, he talks like a super white dude.
I swear to God, you're getting whiter with age.
Whiter? Am I?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just in the colder seasons, man.
Yeah. Maybe you just don't get as much sun as you used to, because you used to work all day in the sun, right? You don't.
Yeah.
You still do, but not as much as you used to. So that's probably why.
That is part of it, yeah. Because you see me even this summer, there was like a very brief few weeks where I was outside working. I was like, that's all it took, dude. A few days, and bam, yeah. I'm just super dark.
Yeah, you were dark for a little bit. It's like already like fading though.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take much. If it literally just takes a couple days to be in the sun all day, and I am super dark. I'm like 3 shades darker than what I normally am.
Yeah. This summer was like the first time I got any amount of tan at all, because I barely ever go outside anymore in the summer. But it's the skateboarding, but still very white. Still, just don't look like I'm like overly pale and malnourished. I guess maybe now. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know what people think. But yeah.
So, bringing it back to sacrifices.
We get so off topic. It's so funny.
Hey, that's how you know how this podcast is raw, man. Like that's why, like when that girl that was asking about the podcast, I have a hard time describing when I have a hard time answering this question. Like, what do you guys talk about? What's it about?
Oh my God, I hate that question.
Me too, because I feel like I should have like something ready to go, I guess,
What don't we talk about? That's the question.
I was like, we talk about everything, but saying that might come off as boring. You know what I mean? Like, well, we talk about everything. Well, we kind of do. We talk about a lot, but then I also kind of followed up with like, we talk about a lot of stuff has substance to it. We're not just rambling, you know, just aimlessly about shit. I like to focus on things that actually have substance to it, you know, and especially if it's a topic like kind of like with the 12-year-old. That was the topic, but I also kind of half and halved it. Like, okay, he's the topic, but he was talking about smart versus being super intelligent versus learning quicker. That was something I also really wanted to talk about, not just spend the whole contagious combo about the 12-year-old kid. I kind of turned it into a more substance topic, you know, that we can talk about. So
definitely, because I mean, that's the more important part of it, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. That's what's interesting to people anyway. That's what I'm interested in talking about. So, and then like I said earlier, I like talking about about things that people don't typically talk about, you know, things that need to be talked about a little bit more, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, sacrifice is a great thing, man.
You know what? I have a sacrifice. I know. When I went to Cody's wedding recently and fucking ate chips and bananas for 2 days.
That was a sacrifice, man.
Sat in the fucking windy rain. It was worth it, though. It was a sacrifice that was worth.
Definitely a sacrifice. Speaking of in the rain, man, yesterday and today, it like came down today for probably like 10 minutes solid, like monsoon style. And it was funny, the guy that was working with me, he was like, he couldn't even see. He had the shades on, it was like spattering all over his face. Like, I can't even fucking see. I was like, take your glasses off, dude, you don't need them on. And he's like wearing a sweater and he's like seeking shelter, and like I made it very clear that like I'm all about making statements like that, like this is the time to push through, like when this is happening, I'm not slowing down, like this is something that can still be done, regardless of the elements. And so I actually enjoy doing that. That's something. I mean, I'm not like sick like David Goggins is. Like that guy's sick, committed, and will put himself through a lot of suffering. But I am no stranger to suffering on a lower level, and I enjoy that. It's weird. It's like
Did you throw on the rain suit or what?
Huh?
Did you throw on a rain suit?
I never took one off. I worked in it all day with a rain suit.
Oh,
even when it wasn't raining, you know, I'm just ready. I'm just prepared for the worst. So I'm already mentally prepared. So when that happens, it doesn't derail me. Like I'm ready to go. And even if I still was, you know, my feet were getting wet and still getting wet. Like it wasn't pleasant, but for the most part, I was comfy because I was mentally prepared for that, you know, and even if I wasn't, I would still challenge myself to push through it because I just enjoy getting a lot of mental growth I get mental growth out of fucking suffering, just like David Goggins says. But like I said, I'm not even going to compare to that guy because he's just fucking way more of an outperformer. But I can relate to him on a small spectrum for sure because I enjoy that shit. So when that happens, you know, I had to work by myself the day before, and I was like lifting this fucking massive 26-foot 3x8 beam by myself, which is probably not recommended. That shit was heavy.
That sounds awful.
It was heavy. I did lift it up 9 feet in the air and put it on some jack stands by myself because I didn't have anybody working. They called in, or I can't remember what it was. A lot of people were calling in lately, and so I had to step up to the plate and make a sacrifice. But there was a point where I'm like on the ladder, and like for a split second, my mind, you know, because my mind's human. You know, we all have this part of our mind where we want to give up or retreat because that's our mind trying to protect us. I had this split second where I just wanted to drop this beam just because it was way too heavy, I was struggling with it. Like my arms hurt right here still because I was carrying it across here up this ladder like that, just slowly. But that split second just came and went. I was just like, there's no fucking way I'm going to drop this thing like that. It's not even an option. It's going to damage. I might get hurt. Like, it's just not even a fucking, like, it just, I completely snuffed it out immediately when it came up. And so I powered through it and got the fucking thing up there and got some work done. So again, it's not really ideal, but I I will completely push myself like that, and I love that. I like that I'm able to do that. That's half the reason why I've ever been successful at anything, especially when it comes to like physical stuff, you know. But it's a mental growth thing for sure. I love that. But that is part of sacrificing too. The reason I brought that up is because I had to sacrifice. I've sacrificed a lot in the business as far as where I should be putting my attention to actually getting on the job site, because I got homeowners hounding me about getting some stuff done, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to get on the job site. It's not what I want to do. I can't really do it, but I have to. So,
Right.
definitely no stranger to the sacrifice.
So you only pissed down rain for 10 minutes?
Oh, absolutely. The day before was worse. It was like a storm. You remember yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was crazy yesterday. My canopy like blew up and took off and got damaged, and like, I mean, it was like the wind. It was just insane. And so, yeah, it's just great elements to grow though, and test yourself and see what you're made of, and make a statement. Like I said, those are the times to make a statement, is when it's the toughest.
Yeah. So my grandpa said I was in NB. It came down all the way back to Cleon. Where's NB at? Was that a town?
North Bend?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe?
Yeah, I guess that's probably about right.
Cleellum, North Bend. I don't even know where that's at though. Is that Oregon?
No, is it North Bend?
Is that
North
towards
Bend's by
Mossy
Auburn.
Rock?
Isn't it by Auburn? Is that North Bend, or is that just Bend?
Oh yeah, Bend, Oregon is in Bend. You're right.
Okay.
North Bend is. I want to say
it's by Auburn and stuff. It's like when you're going right before you go down to the pass.
Oh really?
Right before you go into Snoqualmie Pass. Yeah, it's like right on the mountains.
That's Tiger Summit.
Nah, dude. Let me hear. I'll Google it real quick.
Yeah, when you going from here, when you take
it's like on I-90, isn't it?
you take 18 to I-90, and that's called Tiger Summit. There's a huge hill you go over.
Let's see. Yeah, it's on I-90. It's right before Snoqualmie Pass.
Okay, so it's the other direction towards Seattle.
It's by Seattle. Yeah,
Okay,
it's like
so
it's on the pass before you. It's like before you get on the pass to go to Eastern Washington.
Oh, okay.
It's like right before the pass.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So I know. I guess I've never actually that I remember. I've never actually stopped in that town or been there very often.
I've stopped getting like gas and food there on my way over, but yeah, I haven't like hung out there.
Or maybe I have. I just don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's mosey on over to the rant section.
Okay.
I think we had a good talk about sacrifices and kind of other topics in that area.
Dude, okay, one second. I got my rant.
Yeah, hit me with it.
Okay, so this is the stupidest thing. Okay, so I was driving, right? And I was leaving Safeway from the parking lot. You know that left turn where it's like right next to that pizza joint? You know what I'm talking about? Like that really annoying left turn onto Elm Highway from Safeway?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to turn left there. This fucking lady comes to turn right, and I'm like looking this way. She's coming this direction. She turns to go into the parking lot, and then for no reason whatsoever, she stops, rolled down into her window, and just yells something. I don't even know what the fuck she even yelled at me. She started she's like blah 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 blah, and I'm like, what? And I look the other way, like maybe I'm doing something stupid. You know what I mean? Look the other way. It's like I can't even go. I turn back around, and she just starts driving off, and I'm like, the fuck was that? It makes no sense. I'm just like, what is up with these fucking stupid people out there? I don't fucking get it. First of all, she yelled at me. She's the one who stopped almost halfway in the fucking road to roll down her window and yell at me for no fucking reason.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Seemingly no reason. I just don't fucking get it. That fucking intersection is annoying too.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's I mean, I hate those. Just that road, any road that's really busy. I also am very familiar with that road because my daughter goes to daycare up the road from there, and getting out of there in the morning and or at 5 o'clock, like I always do, is a nightmare, man. Sometimes I'm sitting there forever. I gotta wait for that small little pocket just to fucking jet out in front of people. Like, dude, this is gnarly. I hate when it's so busy like that. But yeah, that whole strip in that area just gets pretty busy, and it's hard to pull out of a lot of places in there.
Yeah, sometimes I just turn right into a big ass fucking loop. to come back home sometimes.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like 5 o'clock, and I'm like leaving safe. I'm like, fuck it, let's just go right.
Yeah, sometimes it makes sense to do that. I've done that too, where I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna go around this way. It's not that much longer. It's I know it's less traffic this way.
Mhm.
Yeah, because when you're taking rights, you got the right of way most of the time, and you don't have to wait as much. So
Just take rights until you get to an actual fucking stoplight, and then you can just turn left there.
yeah, exactly. Here's one I had the other day. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was because I only remember one specific thing that upset me. But this guy was basically, what was he doing? So I was in the faster lane. This is a 2-lane road. I was in the faster lane. It's like through city streets. This guy was passing this car on the right, like he should have, going very slow. Oh no, he wasn't passing him. He was kind of hanging out in the blind spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then this car in the right lane, and it might be backwards on the screen here, but this car in the right lane ended up taking a right. And as he was hitting the brakes, the car in front of me in the fast lane started hitting his brakes too. Like he was worried. He was like waiting for this car to see what their move was going to be when it had nothing to do with him at all. And he like hit his brakes for a while. Like he was just slowing me up to 10 miles an hour. I was like, what is going on right now? I was like, what are we doing? Like, I don't even know what the purpose of that was, but he basically just slowed down the fast lane because I think he was just being way cautious of the other lane driver. I don't even know, but there was no reason for it. And so, like, I don't know. I get really irritated with the cautious drivers. I mean, I said this last time, like, being overly cautious is more dangerous, on the road. And so if you're going to be that fucking cautious, definitely don't ever be in the fast lane. Don't ever be in the fast lane. If you're going to be that cautious, get in the cautious lane and stay there all the way to your destination. Matter of fact, go exactly the speed limit, maybe 2 miles under it, and just stay in your little bubble.
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, people that drive slow in the fucking fast lane are so obnoxious.
Yeah, or just cautiously. I understand you have to get maybe like a left, get in the left lane to make a left turn or something like that. But just being so cautious about it, it's just like, oh my god.
That just goes to what I was saying is they don't test people enough, and these people aren't confident enough to actually fucking control a fucking moving vehicle that weighs that much, that's that dangerous,
Yeah, just realize.
It seems like they don't have the fucking motor skills for that.
Yeah, they need to. I just realized I got a freaking sliver in my finger.
It wasn't bothering you until you knew it was there.
Well, I thought it was no, it has been bothering me. I thought it was a cut. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, it's just a cut. And I'm like, now I know it's a sliver. I'm like, I can stop this annoyance.
Go get the tweezers now.
Yeah, that makes me happy. Like, it's not a cut. I can actually end this pain now.
That is always kind of nice. I guess, yeah. Sometimes when they lay flat against your skin too, they totally look like cuts.
Yeah. No, this one's like just a small prick sticking perpendicular out of my finger, and it's like a 32nd of an inch long. So I can't get it with my fingernails. It's like just at that length where it's annoying.
Yeah, I say don't fuck with it. You'll end up pushing it into your finger, and then be like, no.
It's part me and this sliver are one forever now.
Dude, speaking of which, when I fucking fucked up my hand skating like last month or whatever, there was bits of road stuck in my hand for like a month.
Yeah.
Like just asphalt that was just underneath the skin. I don't even know how it got under there, but it's
gone.
There. Yeah, it's gone now. I don't know what the fuck happened. It's a part of me now.
It's a part of you, yeah.
I have consumed the minerals.
Your body's breaking it down and utilize it.
I guess so, man. Hopefully there wasn't like lead in there or something. Or
I mean, it's still better than, anything else you'd probably put in your body, right?
Lead?
Yeah. You put worse in your body, probably.
I mean, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Not lately. I've been pretty healthy lately.
No, in the past, that was what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, definitely with the smoking and the drinking and shit.
Bad food, like, yeah.
Yeah.
When you think about it that way, it's like, oh, okay.
Mm.
Yeah, some of those things you just can't get around. Things happen. I remember one time, for some reason, I don't know why I'm thinking of this right now. I'll go more onto this rant here, but I was at a camp and we were shooting bow and arrows, and it was an old school bow and arrow. For some weird reason, when I pulled back and drew back, my finger was against the arrow, and I didn't notice. It was just improperly held. And when I released it, I didn't release one finger or maybe I just barely released it and kept my hand like this, but the arrow basically just, here's the angle you can see, was like this against my fingernail and just went, and when it did that, a chunk of wood just fucking went right under my fingernail all the way.
Stop it.
It's probably like an inch long, completely under the fucking fingernail into the cuticle area. Yeah, it fucking, it was painful, dude. I had to get someone to help me pull that out, and it was, you could see this whole line and a void all the way through it for, a couple weeks or whatever it was.
Big cringe, man.
It just reminded me of that, though. Yeah, it was unique. Like I said, I don't know if that's a common thing that happens or not. I don't think bow and arrows were made that way. Thinking about it now, I'm like, how could that have ever even happened?
Well, I don't even know how you're holding it that way, honestly, with your hand like that, because usually you hold the string like that, You
maybe it was the other hand. Maybe it was this hand that it raised against. I can't remember.
I guess that is a possibility, because the arrow is going to go past there.
I think that's.
I know a big thing that people usually wear guards, but I didn't wear guards. Is also the string will slap your fucking your arm too when you're using it as well.
Now this is when I was like 10, maybe younger. So the bow and arrows at this camp were not high tech or anything. These are very amateur, basic, like native arrows.
Yeah, that's racist.
Indian arrows. Like, bro, Indians don't shoot arrows.
Yeah, we have guns now.
And we don't just eat curry too, motherfucker.
Dude.
By the way, I love curry.
I love those too. Oh god, I've been thinking about curry lately too, man. I fucking need some. Curry's
a great dish as a vegan option too. Like,
where'd you get it from? That place in Hawkesbury?
No, I got it from the Great Taste of India. Is that what it is? Downtown?
Okay.
It's on 4th Ave. It's got that big ass pink elephant on the side of the building.
Okay. They got vegan pho there? Or curry?
Yeah, they do.
Hell yeah.
They got this vegan roti bread that's pretty good. It's like naan. That's pretty good. Which I always get upset, man, because there's this one joint that they closed down now. RJ's Grill. They turned it into a Hispanic restaurant now, Mexican restaurant. And yeah, they used to have vegan spinach naan, which is really good. And
I think you got that like not too long ago, right? A couple months ago or something.
It was a while ago. They've been closed for like 6 months now.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they have very few curry joints have vegan naan.
I know, right? They put butter in it or something, right? Or is it milk?
Or eggs or something. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but they just, I don't know. They're like, nope, we're not making it. We're not changing our recipe.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
So Philip said he shut his hand, son, in the truck.
He what?
Shut his hand in the truck door.
Oh, really?
That's awful.
Yeah.
That shit sucks. Have you ever done that to Malia or something on accident?
No, I hope not. I would feel horrible. Very rarely have I ever accidentally hurt her. Maybe one for like roughhousing or something, and she'll fall and hit her head on the wall or something. That's hardly ever happened too, but when it does, I'm like, one time I can remember where she was on the stairs here, and she was like, 3 or 4 steps up, and she's like, I'm gonna jump to you, and I was like, yeah, come on, jump, I'll catch you.
Did she hit her head?
Huh?
Did she hit her head?
Oh, brutally. She didn't commit to the jump.
Oh.
So she half-assed kind of did it, and I had to like reach really far to try to get her, but there was no way I was gonna get her. She didn't jump far enough to me. And when she jumped, she fell back too and smacked her head right on the stair, dude. Like, I seen her facial expression and everything when it happened, and just fucking kills you as a father and a parent to see that. I'm like, oh my God, are you fucking okay?
Yeah,
Like,
that's not as comical as I thought. I thought you meant like she jumped up and hit her head on the ceiling right there,
yeah, no. Didn't
which
do
would have been
that.
pretty funny.
No, she just like psyched me out too. She was like, and then she did this lazy backwards jump, and I was like, what? No. It was a good lesson, though.
Kids do stupid shit, man. It's like I was about to say, my grandpa accidentally rolled my hand up in the fucking window one time because my stupid ass kept my hand in the window as it was going up. And, you know, he wasn't paying attention. He's just like,
Jim?
And I'm just, yeah.
Jim, you remember that, Jim?
The,
You remember that, Jim?
I just remember that because what Phil said about shutting his hand.
And you've been traumatized your whole life from it, right?
Yeah. Dude, there has been times I've had my hand on the door, like someone starts rolling the window. I'm like, nope. That is not happening. I think I've shut my daughter's hand in the fucking door once, like the house door. You know, like kids like to play in the crack of the door sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Like where it opens, where the hinge is at. I think one of my daughters stuck their fucking finger there one time when I tried shutting the door.
Ah, damn.
At times.
Yeah, that's.
But I'm sure they learned their lesson from that one.
Yeah, those are just like basic, obvious lessons. Is like, don't stick your finger in the door. I'm actually not glad that happened, that Malia hit her head on the stairs, but I'm glad that of all the lessons that could be learned, it was right there, because I sat her down after that and had a long conversation. We've had this conversation since then, because I'll bring this incident up. I'm like, remember that time you didn't commit? That's what happened. I was like, if you're going to do something, you need to do it, because there's a liability that it's going to end badly unless you actually fully commit. And so she understands that.
I thought you were going to say something like, yeah, I picked her up and I was like, so what did we learn?
No, man, I'm very emotional when my daughter gets hurt. Like and when she's upset in general. I think I was talking about this not too long ago. Like, she doesn't upset very easily. So when she does get upset or hurt, she's got my attention, and I'm very, very soft when it comes to her. On those moments, I'm pretty raw and upfront with her in general, though. I'm not a dickhead, but you know, maybe to some people I might seem as though I might be a dickhead parent, but really not. She, I think me and her have a great relationship because of the way I talk to her and speak to her and all the things I kind of promote to her. But that whole incident with her falling, there was a lot of value out of that, man. Like, she understood, like, the reason why that happened was because she didn't commit. She couldn't even jump far enough for me to actually, follow through with catching her. And so I was like, that's why that happened. And that's why a lot of things, I use that as an example in life. I'm like, this is a great lesson to learn. And it's like come up a lot of times, and especially like diving right now. She's learning how to dive in swimming lessons. And just the last few weeks, she's done a fantastic job of diving. She was belly flopping for about a month. I mean, she just couldn't commit.
She was belly flopping for a month.
Not even kidding, dude. She could not commit to arching her body like that. She would hold her hands out and do this, but then always just flat out laying like that. Never arch. But now she's committed with a combination of a new instructor.
Was she just like, Dad, I don't want to go dive?
No. She was still trying. That's the thing. Like, she did not enjoy it because she wanted to learn how to do it. And so I think it was a combination of her understanding that she wasn't committing and she wasn't being explained a way that she can understand it. Like, she got a new instructor now, and he explained it a lot better, like, you gotta really arc your body. And so he had her sit down and do it, and then it's weird, it just like clicked for her after that. And I was like, is he explaining that a little bit better for you to understand? She's like, yeah, absolutely. She's like, the other guy, he just kept saying to do this and this, and I didn't understand what he was saying. And so it really, you got to have a good mentor to get ahead when you're especially when you're young and you're seeking some guidance. It really matters on who's instructing you, and because it can be said the wrong way, it can be interpreted completely differently, or interpreted just not at all.
Yeah, that's why when I try to teach people things, I try to give them, like, if it's not working, I try to like explain it from a different angle.
Yeah.
Try to find as many different angles to explain it from, because like eventually one of those things will click. In my experience, when you're teaching someone something,
Yeah.
it's like everyone thinks differently, so you got to like try to, with some things that are difficult, you got to try to explain it in a way that they'll understand it.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So yeah, we got. It's funny. I like how we spun that off from the driving rant into other stuff that's valuable too.
As per usual.
I'm gonna switch gears here really quick. I want to get because you surprised me when I was like, in case you guys are wondering why we're still doing a split screen. Apparently, Danny, from what you just told me, you're like real scared that you're gonna catch the coronavirus. Did I hear you right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I'm a little paranoid. I'm mostly just paranoid because all your employees have been sick, and then also I've just been feeling a little under the weather anyways by myself as well anyway. So like those two things combined, I'm like, we'll just do like the virtual thing for a couple of podcasts, and then when we're sure everyone's fine, then I'll just do the fucking normal one again.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were referring to the coronavirus or just the flu in general.
Whatever. Everything. I just don't want to get sick in general. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's like, even colds are annoying because usually colds like aren't as severe, but then they last for like 2 fucking weeks. You know, like.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I actually thought I was getting sick yesterday. My stomach was not feeling well, and it was like, I don't know, it was just different. And I'm usually feeling pretty damn good all the time, but I woke up feeling great this morning. I was like, oh
yeah, maybe you're just like be sick, like not actually sick, but your body's kind of like fighting something off, you know what I mean? Because that's kind of how I've been feeling. That's how I've been feeling for like about the last 4 or 5 days or something. It's just like slightly off kilter, like something's not quite right, but like I'm not like, you know, sick, but I'm like, I should probably play it safe until I know I'm fine, you know?
Yeah.
So
it might have been just some food thing. Some food I ate, too much food, too much.
Oh, maybe. But I've been having a weird stomach thing too. So I mean, maybe that's just a coincidence, but who knows?
Yeah, because I feel fantastic today, and so it was really weird. I expected to wake up not feeling well because 3 of my employees got sick all in the week, and I was like, oh great, it's my turn next.
Yeah. Are any of them better yet, or?
Yeah, they're all not sick anymore.
Okay, because I know when the first dude that got sick, when he came over afterwards, when he had been sick for like was it like 3 days after he called in sick, he was still a little snivelly when he came over, so I wasn't sure if he was like kind of sick still, but not like badly sick.
Yeah. No, I mean, one of my employees was like, I don't really, I'm not, if you need me to come in, I will. He's like, I'm not trying to get you sick or your daughter sick and all that. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm not, like, if you're sick, I don't want you coming in. I'm not trying to slave drive anybody. Like, I mean, take as much time as you need off. I'll be all right. Like, it is what it is. I don't want. So I appreciate people, offering to work their face off, but not the expense of their health,
Yeah, that is also a secondary reason. I know you're not as worried about getting as sick as I am, but I was like, oh, I might be sick, so I don't necessarily want to, like, if I have something that you don't have, sit in a room with you and talk to you for 2 hours and like accidentally get you sick, especially since you fucking work all the time. I'm like, if I'm worried about getting sick and I'm also worried about getting him sick, maybe I'll just do the fucking virtual thing for a couple episodes and then, call it good after that.
Yeah, you just stay in your room. That just sounds funny. Stay in your room.
I'm hungry though. I want to go get some food.
Now, if you, I would say I'd prepare you some food and then slide it through a little, compartment through the door. But if I prepare it, that's kind of defeating the purpose.
A moot point at that point. Yeah, I know, right? There's only so much you can do, Just trying to be a little cautious. That's about it.
You can order food, and then when they knock at the door and bring it, I can say he's upstairs, and they can bring it all the way to your door. How fucking funny would that be? Like DoorDash comes to your actual room door. You're like, whoa.
You'll catch me in the kitchen later with a mask and gloves on, cooking.
Right on. Yeah, definitely. I spend a lot of time in the kitchen, so yeah, if you're worried about it, mask up there, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, but
I don't know. I'm sure we'll all be fine. I'm just being paranoid. You know, it comes and goes. Sometimes I get paranoid. Sometimes I'm like, oh, fuck it. We're fine. So,
yeah, I mean, you gotta get sick, dude. You gotta get it over with, right?
maybe. I mean, I went a few years without getting sick, so I'm pretty good at not getting sick usually. Like,
Yeah.
when was it? Remember Mary, when her and Nini, like Nini and everyone at the house got sick besides me.
Oh yeah.
They all got like the stomach flu for like a day or something, and I just like avoided them and like just like washed my hands and like didn't eat any food like where they were like I didn't touch any of their food while I was making my own food. Didn't
Yeah.
get sick.
Nice.
And I just avoided them for like 2 or 3 days, and then after that I was like, all right, I probably won't get sick from them now. Never got sick, so
Nice. Well, you're doing something right then. At least
Yes.
at least that year or that time.
yeah. I think that was at the beginning of this year. It might have been December last year, but yeah. Philip said I'm grounded, so all right. What am I gonna do? I can't leave my room.
Fuck, there was a time where I would enjoy that, but not now. I just got too much going on. I worry about things when they come to a standstill.
Yeah, I mean, even as much like I can do most, like I can do my homework, I can play music and play games, and I have a lot of food in here even. But you know, the isolation gets to your head. You gotta get outside, like go for a walk or a drive or something. Get the fuck out. You can't just sit in one room forever. It's just bad for you.
Yeah, man, you can get that zoochosis. We were talking
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, fuck that nonsense.
Yeah, it's a real thing. It's like one of the worst forms of torture, as they say, right?
Yeah.
It's isolation.
Yeah, definitely. I felt that a couple of times during this damn pandemic. So
Yeah. Well, we have run out of time, and I got to make a call before it gets
shit,
too
that's
late. So I think it's a good time to say night, and yeah, we'll wrap it up here. You want to give them the plugs and tell them where they can find us one more time, Danny?
right, yeah. Check us out on Apple and Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram and Twitter. Also, we still have our Discord. Nobody actually uses it, but if you would like to, hit us
You
up.
can start, yeah. We gotta start somewhere and get this momentum rolling on all these platforms and all these channels. So do
Yeah,
it.
We haven't done games anymore because no one has participated in the game, so it's kind of like a lot of energy for us to put in if no one's going to actually do it. So
Yeah.
But if you guys are interested in games, still interested in games, let us know. We can implement them again, and everyone feels like it.
Well, we did have a good idea, to be fair, that we haven't followed up on yet.
Right.
And so
We
I
should do
think
that
that's
soon.
an entertaining one that might get some traction. And I think, I don't know, it's easy enough. You know what I mean? It's not something that we have to put a lot of energy into as far as all we have to do is topics. And so I like that idea, and I think it's something that it will be received well.
Right.
So we'll get that going. And yeah, you're right. I think we should get that worked on here when we get a moment and get some arts and crafts for it and whatever it's going to take.
Yeah. Now people are like, what are they going to do?
Right? We're going to keep you guys in suspense, and we're going to leave this episode with a cliffhanger for you. So we don't know. What are they talking about? That's awesome. Cool. Well, all right, guys. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for chatting with us a little bit and listening to us discuss some of these topics. Philip, Jim, what's your bro's name?
Parker.
Parker, and anybody else who's kind of dropping in, even if you're just gazing in the background there and just lurking. Thanks for lurking. All right, we appreciate you too. So just don't be shy forever. All right. All right, cool. We'll check you guys here on Saturday. It's been real, and have a fantastic week. And until then, keep it viral.
Keep it contagious.
Later, guys.